Today, indeed, is a significant day as we are marking World Menopause Day, a crucial topic as it affects everybody directly or indirectly. And it certainly deserves our mention. This is Aru, and we have two special guests joining us today, Ruth Rosselson, Resilience Coordinator of Manchester Mind, and Leanne Flannigan, Learning and Development Manager at the TOG Mind. Welcome, Ruth and Leanne.
Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Before we delve into the specifics of World Menopause Day, could you tell us a bit about Manchester Mind, TOG Mind, and your roles?
So I am at TOG Mind, and we are sort of leading over the Greater Manchester, working in partnership with the Menopause Project, which consists of Manchester Mind, Salford, Stockport, Rochdale, and my role is Learning and Development Manager, and I am supporting all of the courses that we're offering for the project.
Right.
And I've been working at Manchester Mind for about 9 years now. My role involves running workshops and courses which help people manage challenges and changes in their life. And obviously one of the big challenges and also changes in women's lives can be menopause. So I devised our Mindfulness for Menopause course, which we're offering along Mind in Salford to those going through the menopause journey.
Right, Ruth.
So what is the significance of observing the World Menopause Day?
Well, menopause is natural and it is experienced by all women, more or less. However, it has been hugely stigmatised and is something that hasn't really been spoken about until maybe the last 2, 3, 4 years. So along my peer group, we never spoke about it. My mother certainly never spoke about it at all. So it's incredibly important that it is something that is easy to talk about, just as mental health itself has been stigmatised and it's now coming out of that. I think menopause too needs to be a little bit more talked about. What do you think, Leanne?
Yeah, I think the reason it probably isn't spoke about as much is because women don't understand it because it hasn't been spoken about. And, you know, there is so many sort of vast variations of different symptoms. And so I think it's just a lack of understanding, really, which is why the project that we're running is so important.
Right. Can you give us a brief understanding of what menopause is?
Everyone's menopause is individual to them. We use the term menopause as a kind of general term for a time when a woman's life where she might experience symptoms that kind of are around the end of her fertile time and moving into postmenopause. The kind of medical definition of menopause itself is it's 12 months after a woman's final menstrual period. This doesn't apply to everybody because some have reproductive health problems. Some of us may be on hormonal contraception. So it's a bit of a muddy term, really. But what we're talking about generally is the time where we stop producing eggs, we stop having periods, and we move into this postmenopause phase. However, there is a time leading up to that, known as perimenopause. And this was the stuff I knew nothing about, even while I was going through it myself.
Right.
So perimenopause is the time where hormones start to fluctuate, sometimes quite wildly. They start to decline as well. And these result in a whole range of symptoms that may or may not be experienced. So it's important to acknowledge that not everyone going through perimenopause and menopause will struggle, but some people might.
Okay, so are you saying that there is no specific age that I should prepare myself for? It can happen anytime for everybody or for anyone?
The average age is around 51. I'm getting people on my courses in their early 40s who start to experience symptoms, even some women in their late 30s. Some may go through surgical menopause or medical menopause in their 30s and feel really alone and isolated because no one else is going through it at the same time. And post-menopause, some people can still experience symptoms. So I have some women on my course, maybe 60, late 50s. So there's no kind of exactly on this day I'm going to start experiencing something. It may well it's worth speaking to parents, to mothers to see when they went through it. But yeah, generally 40s, 50s, that's the time of life.
Okay, understood. So what are the types of symptoms one should look out for?
There are over 34 symptoms experienced by menopause, and you might experience 1, 2 or a whole range. So they can be physical symptoms such as migraines or joint pains. Obviously, we all know about hot flushes.
Yeah.
Sleep disturbances can be a real issue, fatigue and brain fog. But there's also other symptoms that are more psychological, such as an increase in anxiety, increase in stress tolerance. Some women might experience panic attacks, low mood, crying a lot. So it can really affect women, and some quite debilitatingly so.
Okay, so it can affect our day-to-day work and everything that we do.
Absolutely. I mean, even if you only experience sleep disturbances, that in of itself is going to affect you on a day-to-day. I was, for a couple of years, waking up almost every day at 3 a.m. No rhyme, nor reason for it. Never had sleep problems in my life before. I'm a meditation teacher. I still found it difficult to go back to sleep, and those were down to those hormonal changes. Right. Then that affects you the next day. You've got fatigue, you've got brain fog, you're a bit grumpy, and that's just one of the symptoms. So if you can imagine that on top of hot flushes, on top of low mood, irritability, crying, there's a lot going on.
Oh no, please tell me there are support systems around us. Please tell me there is help available.
There is help available. You don't have to suffer. But the challenge is not all women can access help or are getting the support and help that they need. So I do speak to a lot of women whose doctors won't prescribe HRT, which can be really helpful and valuable. Obviously, if you don't know what you're going through as menopause, I had no idea my sleep was related to that. I didn't go and get help because I didn't know that was what I needed. So the Greater Manchester Mind's Menopause Project is providing help and support. So there are education sessions, really, really important for communities and in the workplace. And then there's our mindfulness and relaxation courses, which help women take a little bit of control over that anxiety, over that stress, learn to carve out some time for themselves and ultimately manage their symptoms better.
Wow, we still don't know so much. And we talk so less about it. There is so much stigma around menopause. And I think the more we discuss, the more aware we get and better prepared we can be, right?
The trouble is, many people have heard of hot flushes.
Yeah.
Many people associate hot flushes with menopause, but that isn't the only symptom. Not all women will experience hot flushes, and that tends to, not universally, but that tends to happen a bit later. So, again, women might not know that they need some help for perimenopause. Even GPs may not think they need help in forms of HRT or other support. So, as I say, I've spoken to a lot of women who say they've been to the doctors and the doctor says, no, you're too young. You're too young for menopause because you're only 42. But that's not too young for perimenopause.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, what age would you say perimenopause can start? Because, you're saying those symptoms. I'm 32 and I'm sat here thinking, well, I have hot flushes occasionally. I forget my words. My periods are irregular. I'm getting anxiety. So what's the difference? Do I need to start panicking that I may be going through early perimenopause, or how do you sort of know as a woman?
Also, yes, I think some of the symptoms are very similar to PMS symptoms. That is the confusion I think Leanne is talking about.
That too, yeah. And I think, I'm not a medical, so I'm not going to diagnose anybody. But I would say that usually it would be late 30s, early 40s, but you can go into early menopause. Some women do. That's quite unusual, though. Yeah. But I think that we tend to know when something isn't right, and it's really difficult when you're not being listened to by your GP, when you are going and saying, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that, and the GP just offers antidepressants, which do have a role, but not always in managing menopause symptoms, because it may be that something like HRT might be better. So again, I think that GPs need as much educating as the rest of us do. Yeah, that's why this menopause project was put together. Manchester Mind was already delivering our mindfulness and relaxation for menopause course, and we were inundated with women who wanted to come on the course.
Right.
So we were doing that, and Stockport Mind were offering menopause awareness sessions for those in the workplace to promote both men and women. And then when the opportunity came up to work in partnership with Rochdale Mind, who they offer community sessions in Urdu, in Punjabi and English, and there's a more awareness sessions, it seemed to make sense for us all to partner together with Tameside, Oldham and Glossop, overseeing and managing, so that we can have a wider reach. We can reach women across Greater Manchester. So Mind in Salford got involved to deliver the mindfulness offer, and now we're offering at least something to people across Greater Manchester, doing what we can to support women and those that support women.
Right. Ruth, you mentioned a while back that sometimes we can't even realize that we are going through this, that why is this happening with me? So if it so happens that a woman is not being able to realize, are there any telltale signs or something that partners or family members should look out for? That is my part one of my question. And second part is very similar, that what a partner or family members should and should not do with a woman who is going through this journey.
Well, I think usually things are diagnosed by a collection of symptoms. So educating yourself into what perimenopause, menopause symptoms are, and kind of seeing how many of those you might be experiencing. As I say, it can creep up on you, and educating yourself so that you can then take that information to the doctor if you want that kind of help and support. As far as friends, family and colleagues, I think it's also important not to minimise a woman's experience. So I had a woman on one of my workshops say her partner was great, but they took the mickey out of her hot flushes. They weren't very sympathetic to her anxiety. And really, I think what's important is to be listened to be understood, and to know that for 1 in 4 women, this can be a really debilitating experience.
Yeah.
So, as I said, some women do sail through it, but for some, it is a real challenge, and it's not something that happens overnight. These symptoms can go on for some women, maybe just months, for other women, years. So if you can imagine, not sleeping for a week is enough, but the sleep disturbances, the anxiety, the hot flushes, the joint pains, the migraines, all of that happening, well, you don't know how long it's going to last.
Yeah.
So what you need from partners and colleagues is patience, is understanding, and of course,
I think they could educate themselves as well.
Absolutely, yeah,
I think, doing their research, trying to find ways in which they can support and ask, what do you need me to do? How can I support? Is there anything that we can go to together? Why don't we look if there's any courses, for example, online, just to show that you are supporting your partner or colleagues or friends.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, are there any final thoughts or messages you'd like to share with us?
Well, I'd just like to say that there is help. So if you're going through it yourself and you're really struggling, there is help and support. You can take control. You can learn to manage your anxiety, improve your mood and your stress. So Mind in Salford and Manchester Mind's Mindfulness for Menopause course has helped a lot of women already improve their menopause transition and improve their ability to manage their symptoms. And some have even found their symptoms have reduced. So there is help and support. There are things that you can do. And Leanne will also talk about the other elements that the project is offering.
Yeah, so I think it's just important to sort of remind everybody and make everybody aware that it is free courses. They are all free. We are, a funded project. And in addition to the mindfulness courses, we are offering menopause awareness for staff of small, medium enterprises, managers supporting employers, again, obviously raising awareness within the workplace, and the community workshops that are going on. They are online and face-to-face, so, it's a mixture. And obviously, if you do want to get in touch, or if you are interested, then either visit the GM Mind website, Menopause Project. We have an email address, menopauseproject@togmind.org. We are actually launching our new menopause socials, so Facebook Menopause Project, or on Instagram menopause_project. And they are being launched on World Menopause Day. Or if you want to get in touch and speak to somebody, 0161 330 9223, and ask to speak to myself, Leanne, Emma, or Jason.
Thank you for joining us, Leanne and Ruth, and sharing such a wonderful and insightful discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.